Okay, folks, this is a movie that is an iconic video game, and I had never watched it before. And I do enjoy a good James Bond film, but we're going to. The lighting is so bad. Unlike the lighting in the movie that we're about to talk about, which had great lighting. So I picked this movie up and I did another review about thrift shop DVD hauls. 1995's GoldenEye. Pierce Brosnan's first James Bond movie, and based off of my quick Google search, there was typically a 2 to 3 year gap in between James Bond films. Sean Connery, from like the first to like the fifth, they did one like almost every year. And then when you get into the 70s, it's like every couple of years, 80s, every 2 to 3 years. And then you had Timothy Dalton as James Bond in the late 80s. And then I think he did like 2 movies, and there was supposed to be a third one. But the last movie with Timothy Dalton was License to Kill in 1989. And then you find this huge gap because there was some arguments between MGM and the Albert Bocelli. I think that's how the Albert Bocelli folks, the creator people. You don't watch this channel for my vocabulary, all right? There was some discrepancies going on behind the scenes between production and idea people, and there was this 6-year gap. So then enter Pierce Brosnan for the first movie since the 80s, and this is the first Bond movie of the 90s, although mid to late 90s, 1995. I would have been 8 years old when this film came out. And lately, my kids and I have been bonding over the 1997 GoldenEye Nintendo 64 game. And so I wanted to check this movie out and see kind of the parallels between the movie and the video game. And there are definitely some. You can see they kind of based the video game loosely, is being generous, around the film. Directed by Martin Campbell, with the title song GoldenEye written by Bono and The Edge, which I skipped through the introduction part. That whole montage where they show like women silhouetted. I don't get into that stuff, okay? And on the scale of James Bond films, this one is probably not my favorite. I love the wit and comedy of Roger Moore, but I have to say that probably, if I'm thinking off the top of my head, my favorite James Bond movie is Sean Connery, Diamonds Are Forever, which he reprised his role because I think in 1969... they did On Her Majesty's Secret Service with like a one-off guy, but then in 72, I think, or 73, when they came back for Diamonds Are Forever, they brought Connery back in. So anyway, that is kind of my favorite Bond movie as a whole. But then I do like Roger Moore's wit and sarcasm. This movie had some wit and sarcasm, but it's kind of like bringing in a new era where they have like the leader of like MI6 is a woman, and I believe Judi Dench, I think is her name. I don't know. I didn't research it enough. All right, give me a break. I'm just throwing these reviews together with little to no effort in my home office after I watch it, so it's fresh in the mind. And they kind of talk about how Pierce Brosnan is a dinosaur relic of the Cold War, and he's a chauvinist pig. But, you know, I think he was a classy Bond. I enjoyed him as Bond in the film. And it was just kind of confusing because... is it the Soviet Union? Is it not the Soviet Union? What time is it? Is it the modern era, but there's still kind of this whole communist USSR vibe going on, but it's 1995, so is it an alternate reality where the Soviet Union kept going on? I don't know. It was very confusing, so I don't understand what was going on exactly. There was some awesome chase scenes with a tank. That was probably one of my favorite parts in the film, just the destruction of cars and vehicles, very Blues Brothers-esque, as this tank goes on a rampage through the Soviet Union. And then, you know, you have the double-cross villain and beautiful women. The Natalia chick was Polish, and she is held up like a fine bottle of wine, better with age. Now that's a chauvinist remark. So, anyway, Pierce Brosnan... it's like right after he had been in Mrs. Doubtfire, a couple of years after that, I believe. 2 hours and 10-minute runtime. It's action-packed. It's one of the most tame James Bond movies. There's hardly any profanity that I could think of off the top of my head. The sex scenes are very tame. There's no graphic sexual liaisons with Bond and these female suitors. But the cinematography, some guy on Reddit said that the special lighting effects and the film stock they used of the era made it just very iconic. And there's like parts of the film where the way they caught the light and the way that the film just played out, it was filmed in Panavision. It was just awesome. So like, I liked that part of it. I liked how it was filmed. It was kind of all over the place for me. And it was just kind of a middle of the road movie for me. I enjoyed it, and it was actually a safe movie to watch with my young kids. It wasn't gratuitous. Even the violence and the shootouts were like not very violent. So that being said, let's get into how I feel about the film, because my battery on my phone is flashing low. Plug it in. 3 out of 5 on this for me. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite. It was like, for me, it's a one watch. I don't think I'll watch it again, but I've revisited Diamonds Are Forever many a time. Rotten Tomatoes is 80%. IMDb is 7.2 out of 10. Google users are 88%. So people do enjoy this film. And it was a fun movie, but it just wasn't my favorite film in the franchise, and that's fine. There was things that I liked about it and things that I think Pierce Brosnan is an okay James Bond. He's just not my favorite James Bond. And he did 4 films, and I got 2 of the other films that he did. I need to pick up 1 more, and I may review those as well, and I may not. I don't know. Let's just see what's priority on my stack of videos. So that's my review. It's just kind of middle of the road is the theme of this review. And I would be interested to know in the comments what you think about it as well. That's what I always ask. I want to know what other people, if this is one of their favorite Bond movies, or where they rate it, and what their favorite Bond movie might be as well. Until next time, we will see you then.